Controversial opinion, but I like football. I know, crazy. One thing I didn't like, though, was the way Sam Darnold played Sunday night with the 1 seed on the line. Let me take you into that game and show you a couple plays that I think really set the tone and created an atmosphere that made it so hard for Darnold to succeed in a system that complements him so well. The moral of the story here is pressure. Darnold was pressured more times and more frequently than any other game he had played this season. And how are the Lions getting pressure without Aiden Hutchinson, without Ali McNeil, with a dozen defensive players on IR? Well, I'm going to show you how right now. One of the best easy ways to get pressure is stunts. What we've got going on here is the defensive tackle is going to cut this to the outside, try to bring pressure from the outside and get on their tackle. Zadarius Smith here is going to cross behind him, cut to the inside. What makes matters worse here on this individual play, we've got play action. Aaron Jones is going to fake the handoff, come up, set a block, chip, and then move up the field for a comeback. The problem that you'll see here is that that chip actually makes it harder for the guard to pick up Zadarius Smith, causing him to break open. And you'll see that Darnold kind of panics, scrambles, and takes the sack. We cut to 2 plays later. Darnold at this point in the game is 4 for 6, and this was their opportunity to respond to a Detroit touchdown. And obviously it didn't go well there on first down. How are they going to take care of it on second down? Well, it kind of looks like we have cover 3 here at first glance, but what you're going to find is that this is in fact not cover 3 at all. It's actually a disguised blitz, and a really good one here from Aaron Glenn. The cornerback here is actually in a deep half. He's going to come all the way back here by the first down marker and cover. Kirby Joseph here is going to backpedal over to this side and cover over here. We're going to have Amik Robertson in the flat, this guy in the flat as well. And the best part about this is where the blitz comes from. We're going to have this linebacker come back and cover this section. We're going to have this edge rusher come back and cover this. So we've got this nice little under and over. This is going to create a hole in the middle, and you'll see if Darnold is able to take advantage of that. For the blitzers, we're going to have this guy flying in, and we're going to have one of these linebackers feign like they're stepping back into coverage, but then they're going to actually turn and run upfield too. We're going to have 5 guys, 1 for each blocker, right, coming at you, but because of the way it's disguised, it's going to allow some pressure to get in, although Darnold actually does a great job of standing straight in the pocket. How do the Vikings counter this? Well, they've got a pretty simple 4 verticals going right here. We've got to go, we've got to go, we've got to go, and we've got to go. And that pocket that we're going to try to take advantage of is going to be right in here. Darnold is going to see that, and he's going to take a shot right to this point and hit Hawkinson. But because of the sack, because of the time rattling off the clock, we're down to just 1 second here on the play clock. He's going to overcook this, overthrow Hawkinson, and they're not going to be able to keep this drive going, even though O'Connell did a fantastic job of scheming open TJ Hawkinson. Minnesota is able to get the stop. They get the ball back, and they're starting to move it when they stall out here on 3rd and 10. At this point, Darnold is still 6 for 10. The panic hasn't fully set in yet, but the Lions are about to try to make it so much worse by sending the house on this play. They send 7 rushers. Everyone here on the line is going, and we even have an extra Kirby Joseph here who's just going to sprint down and try to be in between everyone. And so what the Vikings have cooked up is pretty good for this type of situation. They're going to leave the running back in here to block. So he's blocking. They've got a chip and release here into the flat. And then we've also got this nice little mix up here where we're getting a crosser from Jefferson. He's cutting in underneath Jefferson. And then Hawkinson here is cutting out. So we've got a lot of congestion here in this area, and it's all man coverage. So this sets up for a pretty ideal situation. Darnold can kind of sit comfy here in the pocket as long as the O-line buys him time. He can check down to this chip that's going to leak out anyway, but what he actually does is a bit more impressive. he keeps his eyes on Jefferson because he knows one-on-one on a crosser, he's going to get open, and he breaks free towards the end, and he actually hits his longest completion of the day on this pass, over 30 yards, but things are about to get a lot worse. It's 4th and goal. The first couple plays didn't go so well. We had a run for basically no gain, and then an overthrow by Darnold here was a bit interrupted by Josh Paschal. So what do we have cooked up for 4th and goal? Well, I actually like this play design quite a bit. We've got cover 1. We've got this safety in a zone, and we've got this linebacker who's feigning pressure, but he's actually going to drop back underneath him. Everyone else is manned up across the board. So how can the Vikings beat this? They've got this nice stack look over here on the right side. They're going to have Naylor run up and in, and they're going to have Addison behind him run up and out. And it just kind of puts pressure on these guys to make sure that they've got the right man. And what you're going to see is they're going to run into each other, actually. And it creates just a wide open Jordan Addison in the flat. Darnold looks over that way. You can see his head turn. But for whatever reason, he chooses not to throw it. He kind of pumps like he's about to, but turns it down. Hockenson is running a flat here, and he's going to be pretty much locked up by Alex Anzalone the whole way. So it's just Justin Jefferson and Amik Robertson again, just one-on-one. But at this point, Darnold is kind of struggling with the pressure, so he steps back and throws. He can't put his full power into it to make it as accurate as possible, and he ends up floating it over the head of Justin Jefferson for an incompletion, and the Lions get the stop. Play number 5 here, and we're already back in the red zone. Yep, Goff threw a pick, kind of set him up for ideal positioning here. Defensively, this looks really, really similar to what we saw last time they were here. It's actually the same play. We're once again going to have Kirby Joseph kind of in the deep zone, deep quote-unquote for the red zone, and then this same linebacker is going to step back and cover underneath. Everyone else is going to be manned up just like before, and the important one to watch here is actually Amik Robertson on Justin Jefferson. The Vikings have a mesh concept lined up here. Hawk is running a curl in the middle. This tight end is running across. This tight end is running, or Aaron Jones, pardon me, is running across. And we're going to have Addison up and out. And Justin Jefferson kind of runs like a zig here. It's kind of a weird route. It kind of feels like he's freestyling because he's just trying to, get open against man. But what we're going to see from Darnold here is that once again, the pressure is starting to get home, and he can't step into this throw, and he doesn't really throw it up for Justin Jefferson to go and get it. Instead, he just kind of throws a dart right into Amik Robertson's arms and gets very fortunate that Amik Robertson drops it. This really should have been a pick, but you can tell that at this point, it is really starting to fall apart. And that's now 2 straight incompletions to Justin Jefferson. He's going to throw 2 more. So let's go ahead and jump to the next one. So this is actually going to be that same send 7 4-in-man coverage blitz that we saw earlier. It's going to be, once again, Amik Robertson one-on-one with Justin Jefferson. I really thought that this was going to be a matchup they'd be able to exploit, but it just kind of seems like whenever they had it, they couldn't quite sync up to get it knocked out. And that's what we're going to see here. We're sending the house once again. Everyone here is blitzing. We're only leaving 4 in coverage in total here. So what do the Vikings have cooked up? They're taking a shot at the end zone pretty much the whole way here. So they're going to have Hawk run up and in. They're going to have this Naylor run up and in. And they're going to have Addison run up and curl underneath. Jefferson here, this is designed to just give him the best one-on-one they possibly can. So he's going to run up and then break into the backside of the end zone. Now, this one isn't totally on Darnold, I would say. The pressure gets in quite quickly due to them sending so many people. And we see what looks like maybe Brian Branch, one of the rushers, jumps up and attempts to swat that ball down. before Darnold can throw it. And I think he just felt like he had to lob it extra high up in the air to give it a chance, and he ends up actually overthrowing Justin Jefferson. This is the 4th straight incompletion he throws to Justin Jefferson. So the obvious question here is, why not run? Why not run the ball here in the 10-yard line? And to that, let me throw a couple stats at you, okay? The Lions have a top 10 red zone defense. That's indisputable. The Vikings, on the other hand, do quite an effective job of scoring in the red zone. And how do they go about that scoring? Well, they generally don't run the ball. They only have 24 attempts from Aaron Jones within the 10-yard line. In those 24 attempts, he has 8 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, you're not going to have a ton of yards, but I will tell you that that's the fewest amount of yards of anyone with over 60% of the share of runs within the 10-yard line. Darnold, on the other hand, mind you, this is counting the game where he threw 4 straight incompletions to Justin Jefferson within the 10, is 31 for 48 within the 10, 20 touchdowns to just 1 pick. The other thing, too, is that the Aaron Glenn scheme has done a lot to stifle the run, but their DBs have been going down. Throughout the season, they keep getting injured. And to see one-on-ones with Amik Robertson and Justin Jefferson, it seems like the smart thing to do is to target those and try to take advantage of those. Could O'Connell have adjusted halfway through the game? Sure, he could have tried. But they didn't really run the ball successfully anyway in this game. They had the one big break where they had a guy in man coverage leave his gap responsibility, and it kind of cracked open a big run. But aside from that, they averaged, I believe, less than 3 yards a carry. It was really tough for them to run outside of that one big run. Vikings end up settling for a field goal there, but they get one more opportunity here to score before the end of the half. This is their last chance to right the ship, so to speak, and maybe go into the halftime with a lead. It's 3rd and 6, and once again, we're looking at the end zone. The Lions are all about protecting the end zone here, so it looks to me like they're in sort of like a match cover 4. They're going to have just 4 guys creating this kind of umbrella effect, trying to make it as difficult as possible for you to lob one up into the end zone. They're fine with giving up this first down because they're just going to clamp down and force you to kick a field goal anyway. So they're fine with that. They just don't want you to score a touchdown. We have a really interesting concept here, though, from the Vikings that could beat this potentially. If this is some sort of match zone where it is zone until you see a defender and then it becomes man, they put a lot of stress on this corner right here and could possibly create an opening back here. And how do they do that? Well, they're going to have both of these receivers run ins, and then they're going to have Jefferson here run up and out behind. So that puts pressure on this guy. He either needs to get back there to protect from Jefferson because he's going to break away from leverage on this defender, or he needs to step down to make sure Addison is covered and they don't get the free first down. Well, they're not really interested in stopping the first down. They really want to stop the touchdown. And so there actually is an opening here to Addison, but Darnold never really looks that direction. Instead, what they have cooked up here on the opposite side is what he's interested in. They're going to have Hawkinson run a deep in where he's just running all the way up here, and it's essentially a clear out because Aaron Jones is going to run a wheel. And he wants to hit this wheel in this spot and run it into the end zone, but the pressure gets in so fast. We're going to see Josh Paschal here hit a really nice swipe move on the left guard, and that's going to allow him to get inside and break up Darnold's concentration, break up his throwing motion, and this ball is going to hit the dirt, and they're going to hold him to another field goal. And better yet, the Vikings are even going to have enough time to go kick a field goal of their own and keep it a 3-score or 4-score game going into the half. Well, coming out of the half, we basically have one last opportunity here to right the ship before everything has fallen apart. In that first half, Darnold went 9 of 20 passing, and that's just not going to cut it. But they get the ball first. They march down the field. They have an opportunity to make things right, and on the 2-yard line, they can't get it done. Well, it looks to me like they have a sort of cover one-man blitz. They're going to have Kirby Joseph just kind of play in the middle, pick up anyone else. Everyone else is going to be manned up across the board here. and we're going to send Campbell here on the blitz to try to get just a little bit of extra pressure to break things up. But the Vikings have the perfect play to beat this. Now, Aaron Jones is going to stay into block. They're going to have Justin Jefferson run up and out, sort of a corner, and then they're going to have Hawkinson run up and in. And really, these plays feel more like distraction because the moneymaker here is up at the top. This is man coverage, like I said. So they're going to have Naylor run out, and they're going to have Addison just quick slant open. And because of this being man coverage, it's going to create a lot of contact here between the two Detroit defenders as they try to stay on their man. And Addison's going to be wide open. It's an easy touchdown. It's the first read anytime you see a play like this in the red zone. Darnold turns to look at it, and I'm not sure if he got there late. I'm not sure if he just didn't see how open it was or just something was in the way. I'm not sure. But for whatever reason, Darnold looks at Addison wide open, and he does not throw it. I don't know why. So he quickly goes over, looks at Hawkinson, who's covered, looks at Jefferson, who's covered, and the panic really starts to set in. And at this point, I think the train has fallen off the tracks. Darnold panics, scrambles out, tries to get it to Addison, but it's an awkward throw on the run, and it's tight coverage, it's incomplete, and once again, we're on 4th and goal, and we haven't scored a touchdown. 4th time today. And even though they kick a field goal and they make it a 1-point game, the game sure felt over after this. Just being honest. The game felt like it was over. Like there wasn't going to be any sort of miraculous comeback or anything like that. And this play was the biggest indictment of Darnold, in my opinion. The other stuff, there was pressure, and it was a high pressure situation, but it was also a lot of pressure getting in from the defensive line. But this is the one where it is quarterbacking 101. Like everyone should know how to do this. Everyone should know how to hit this. And Darnold choked in the biggest game of the season. And that's all you can say about it. We'll see if Darnold can bounce back. I think the McCarthy versus Darnold conversation just got a lot more interesting thanks to this game. But he's got to go play in LA against the Rams on Monday. I'd love to talk about that game in another video, but for now, that's all for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. We love football, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a good one.